everyone, welcome to Smart Course, the go-to place for authoritative information and strategies on special needs, learning disabilities and disorders, especially ADHD. Today I'm here to talk to you about Rejection Sensitivity Dysphoria, also known as RSD. Today we will break down what RSD is, where and how does it come about, consequences, feelings, symptoms, and what can you do. We also covered RSD in another video on our channel, so if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and comment and then visit our channel to watch Living and Treating ADHD, SPD and RSD. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We know a lot of people need this information, so share this video with someone you think may need it. Plus, if you do like this, subscribe, hit the bell, comment and sign up for our upcoming summit at this link. Then we will pin your comment to the top and we will send you our expert-curated list of ADHD resources. In this video, we will cover information by esteemed and authoritative resources like Attitude Magazine, the National Institute of Mental Health, chad.org, understood.org. So, what is Rejection Sensitive Dysphoria? Rejection Sensitive Dysphoria, or RSD, is extreme emotional sensitivity and pain triggered by the perception that a person has been rejected or criticized by important people in their life. It may also be triggered by a sense of failing to meet their own high standards or others' perceived expectations. Very often, for people with ADHD and RSD, two things can happen. They either externalize or internalize their emotional reactions in a sensitive moment. If a person internalizes their response, this is when there is a risk of major mood disorder type episodes, sometimes complete with suicidal ideation. In a similar way to a depressive episode, this internalization leaves the person who was initially feeling perfectly fine to feeling intensely sad in a matter of seconds, often leading to a misdiagnosis of rapid cycling mood disorder. On the other hand, some people in a moment of RSD will externalize their response. This will shape up to look like an intense, emotional, extremely sudden onset of a full rage outburst. This outburst can even lead to the person causing injury to themselves or to others around them in the moment. In fact, it can be such an impressive outburst that nowadays, approximately 50% of people who have received a court-mandated anger management treatment have previously unrecognized ADHD. So not only can RSD portray itself in two distinct ways within people, but it can also lead to the development of two distinct types of personality. They can become people pleasers, brought about by the overwhelming need to make sure they are living up to everyone's expectations, ignoring what it is that they truly want in their lives and actions. Or they can simply stop trying. This comes about due to the overwhelming fear of not being good enough or failing upon trying something new. So people simply stop trying new things to eliminate that risk. Okay, so we know the basics, but where does it come from? ADHD is riddled with comorbidities and symptoms and can very often be a comorbidity itself. In one of our past videos, Symptoms of ADHD in Teens, we touch on this subject, so go comment on this video and tell us what you find interesting about the comorbidities discussed there. RSD is another one of the many comorbidities of ADHD and is in fact the only one associated with ADHD. The reason the term RSD only recently came to light is very much due to a mix of it only being prevalent within ADHD, the fact that some people can internalize its onset whilst others externalize it, and due to the fact that there is no way to universally measure rejection. But it is a part of ADHD. It's neurologic and genetic. Often patients are comforted just to know that there is a name for this feeling. It makes a difference knowing what it is, that they are not alone, and that almost 100% of people with ADHD experience rejection sensitivity. After hearing this diagnosis, it can be relieving to know it's not their fault and that they are not damaged. What are the consequences, feelings, symptoms? So, we spoke about what can onset it, where it comes from, but how can we describe it and recognize it? It is an intense form of emotional dysregulation, very often misdiagnosed as a form of social phobia or anxiety. Emotional dysregulation is when a person feels and experiences an emotion so intensely that it takes over them, affecting their behaviors, their moods, etc. so intensely that it very often they cannot in fact control the results of this emotional overtake. Dr. Dodson, an expert in ADHD, who we have had the privilege of having attend our previous ADHD summits, coined the term rejection sensitivity dysphoria. He explains that people in their experiences found their extreme emotional sensitivity to be triggered by the real or imagined perception of being rejected, teased, criticized, a disappointment to important people in their lives, or a disappointment in themselves when they tried and failed to attain their own standards or goals. He continues in his book Emotional Regulation and Rejection Sensitivity by stating, "The pain is so primitive and overwhelming that people struggle to find any words to describe it," he writes. "They can talk about its intensity, awful, terrible, claustrophobic, and cannot find words to convey the quality of the pain." If you would like to hear and get a hold of some of our exclusive content from Dr. William Dodson, such as his speeches at our latest summit, please check out our website membership page to sign up. The link to our membership page can be found below. So afterwards, don't forget to like this video and then click the link to visit. So finally, what can you do? A lot of blogs and websites will give you a good, solid list of bullets to follow. Process your emotions before you melt down. It is helpful to try and let go of the guilt, to accept your emotions and move away from perfectionism. Go to therapy with a specialized counselor. Therapy for ADHD can be helpful and help you develop strategies to cope with strong emotions. Take steps to reduce overall stress. But these are not as easy when it is your child who has RSD. And you, the caregiver, are such a pinnacle in teaching and helping your child to cope, create mechanisms to help control emotional outbursts, and understand their environment in moments of high stress and emotion. When it comes to coping with children with RSD, therapy can be helpful, especially when focused on creating coping responses for children. Nonetheless, depending on the severity of your child's executive functioning issues, mechanisms and coping strategies that involve actions such as self-talk can be very hard for kids with ADHD, since they are likely to lack such skills as cognitive flexibility and self-control. Executive skills allow kids to come up with explanations for what happened and develop a plan to move on. This kind of thinking helps kids put things in perspective, but children with ADHD can get stuck on that. They find it hard to shift their thinking and move on. So, they may become hyper-focused on the rejection, talking about it constantly. Also, to take a step back from children with ADHD, children in general can have a very hard time with moments of rejection, especially in social situations in making friends, for example. If they don't get invited to a party, they're likely to initially think, "What's wrong with me? Why wouldn't they invite me?" Yet a child without ADHD will then be able to overcome that initial feeling and cope with how it made them feel in the first instance. This is a step that a child with ADHD will struggle with, as they may not be able to move beyond being that initial rejection, and the emotion is stirred up. In extreme cases, rejection triggers such painful feelings that kids go to great lengths to avoid it. As mentioned at the beginning of this video, the child might decide to spend a lot of energy pleasing other people, so they won't be rejected. Or they may withdraw from situations that risk leading to rejection, like joining games at recess. But this only makes them feel more isolated, and it can contribute to mental health issues, like anxiety and depression, which are common in kids with ADHD. 4 key pieces of advice stand out when it comes to helping your child with RSD. In a moment of emotional sensitivity. Help your child see different explanations. If your child's friend is playing with someone else and can't come over, your child may see it as rejection. Help your child understand that sometimes things just happen. Maybe another kid called first. It doesn't mean your child has lost a friend. Secondly, share stories about rejection and getting over it using celebrities or idols of theirs. Michael Jordan was cut from the high school basketball team. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers for her first Harry Potter book. Or even better, share your own experiences of being rejected and what you did to get over it. Third, teach resilience. Help your child come up with a plan to move forward. For example, if your child isn't chosen for baseball, find another activity to focus on. If your child still wants to pursue baseball, develop a practice schedule. If your child's friend cancels plans, brainstorm who else can come over instead. These kinds of coping strategies will make your child stronger and more resilient when faced with setbacks in the future. And finally, as mentioned earlier, seek help. If your child is feeling down for longer than what you think is a reasonable amount of time, or if your child just seems off, talk to your doctor. Keep in mind that kids with ADHD are more prone to mental health issues. If you see signs of anxiety or depression in your child, there are treatment options. There are also drug solutions that have been found effective, but for advice on that, you should most definitely speak to your family doctor, your child psychiatrist, or another expert within that field of knowledge. In conclusion, RSD is when a child with ADHD has major trouble with managing emotions and self-esteem, which in turn can make coping with rejection especially hard. Kids with ADHD may withdraw as a way to avoid rejection. Sharing stories about people getting over rejection can help your child learn to put rejection into perspective. And if you notice a mood change for a prolonged period of time, or are interested in learning more about possible drug therapies for your child and coping with RSD, speak to a professional. To finish off this video, I wanted to share a story written by a mother from understood.org about her 8-year-old boy who has ASD, and suffers from RSD. If you are looking for an analogy to help better explain RSD to a young child, this is the one. She writes, "It's knowing that you may be overreacting to something small, but also feeling it with such emotional intensity that it hurts. I've heard people call it an emotional sunburn. The idea is that when you have a sunburn, even a light pat on the shoulder is jarringly painful." She finishes her article stating, "I'm never going to be able to stop the emotional sun from beating down on my son, but I can teach him to find and create shady spaces inside himself where he doesn't let the sun burn him. I can apply my best dose of empathy to help relieve the sting." If you have your own analogy, or even your own rejection story that you are comfortable sharing, leave it for others in the comments section below. After all, sharing these stories with others in similar struggles and situations is a key component of helping them move on forward. In our upcoming video, we will be learning more about parenting teens with ADHD. For an expert-curated list of resources from our past summit and videos, please visit the link in the description. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like it and let us know what you liked or what you'd like to see more of in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. The more people that like, subscribe, click the bell, and comment, the more people will see this kind of content on YouTube. And we know some people could really use the help. So, also don't forget to share this with anyone you know who could benefit from this video. We share tons of expert-vetted resources on parenting and education for differently abled kids, so feel free to sign up for our newsletter using the link in the description below. If you like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, and sign up for our upcoming summit at this link, then we will pin your comment to the top and we will send you our expert-curated list of ADHD resources. If you haven't watched our previous series about ADHD and other disorders, click the annotations in the top right-hand corner to watch those videos. And if you want to support SmartCourse and help make sure we can continue bringing you content, check out our Patreon and membership pages. We also have an online course with even more specific information, step-by-step guides, and access to professionals who can help you through this process. As always, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.